Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We just want you to start finding your seats, get to your tables so that we can get started on time. We got a 5-minute warning. 5-minute warning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have you find your seats, please. We're supposed to start at noon, and it's 12:04. So if you could please find your seats, your table. We know that there are going to be people that are going to straggle in as we're going along, but go ahead and get seated. Tommy Bailey. We'll turn this over to our chairman, Tom and Bailey, but if you all could get seated in your seats, we appreciate it. And there's people still straggling in. So.
Thanks, Larry. And it's hard to get used to talking into a microphone again that's not attached to my computer. But thank you all for joining us today. And I know it's hard to sit down after not seeing real faces for so long, but thank you for coming and thanks for finding your seats. Before we get started, we have a video that we'd like to direct your attention to. Thank you.
Right now, life has us keeping our distance, but there's never been a more important time to come together. Scouting looks a little different than what we're used to, sure, but across the country, Scouts are coming together to learn, grow, and serve even while apart, because that's what Scouting has always been about. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Our culture is one of perseverance and determination. Our foundation is that of always being prepared. When you think about it, we've been preparing for times like these for over 100 years. Because for the past century, we've been pioneers, adventurers, helpers, scouts. Nothing can stop us. We've got this. We are Scouts.
Thank you, and thank you again so much for being here today. My name is Tommy Bailey, and it has been my pleasure to serve as your campaign chairman through this campaign. And we have great news today, and again, it's wonderful to see everyone. Before we get started, I'd like to invite William Dudley from Troop 135 to conduct our flag ceremony. Along with him is Katrine Girgis, Sarah Dudley, Maverick King, and Blake King from Troop 31 as color guard. Following the flag ceremony, Katrine Girgis from Troop 31 will give the invocation.
Good afternoon. Will the audience please arise for the presentation of the colors? Color guard, attention. Color guard, advance. Color guard, boast the colors. Color guard, salute. Please place your hand over your heart and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the invocation.
As we come together this day as community, civic, and business leaders, we want to give you thanks. We thank you for this wonderful city and beautiful state in which we live. We thank you for the food you provide for our nourishment and the many blessings you have given each of us and our families. We thank you for this wonderful opportunity you have given each of us to have an impact in the lives of the young men and women in our communities through the Scouting program. We ask that you enrich our minds so that we may come together to develop our leaders of tomorrow. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Color Guard, retreat.
Thank you, Troop 31 and 135. How about a round of applause for our young scouts? I learned a long time ago not to talk too much until everybody eats. So please be seated, enjoy your lunch, and we'll be back in a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, please go ahead and continue to enjoy your lunch. But in consideration of everyone's time, and we're in the middle of a work day, we're going to go ahead and start our program and hopefully get you out of here at a decent time. Again, my name is Tommy Bailey. It's been my pleasure to serve as the campaign chair. The first thing I want to do is recognize part of our volunteer workforce that makes all of this happen, and those are our vice chairmen. Kelly Castleberry, Jack Cavender, Art King, David Mills, Brad Ritchie, Lyle Smith, Andy Teeter, and Diane Strong. Please join me in a round of applause for these hardworking folks. If you aren't familiar, this campaign, and many of us I know have been involved in lots of charitable activities, but this is an extremely well organized and run campaign. And to have this kind of, this caliber of folks that we can count as vice chairman really make everything happen. So thank you for that. I also want to thank my chairman-elect, Matt Coleman. Raise your hand, Matt. We wore matching suits today. We thought that would be cute. So again, the vice chairman, the team captains, everyone, they all make all of this possible. We have some great news to share today, but really what makes this possible for you sitting in this room and for those joining us over the internet are all of you and your continued support. Many of you, this isn't your first Boy Scout luncheon. I'm sure it's the one you looked forward to the most coming out of COVID and with honorees like we have today and vice chairman and everyone else, but really it's because of you for helping make our campaign so successful. The Buckskin Council serves thousands of children, youth, excuse me, my son would not be happy about that, thousands of youth and emerging leaders in 40 counties in West Virginia, Ohio, Virginia, and Kentucky. As an Eagle Scout myself from Buckskin Council, very happy to be standing here today, and I know many of you too are Eagles, and that's something we carry with us forever. So again, thanks to all of you. The council provides services, camps, programs, trainings, awards, resources, facilities, and staff. And if you weren't aware, this campaign, all of its proceeds go toward these scouting programs. And what a great number of programs we had during the COVID lockdowns, and as we emerge, scouting really is, it isn't rebounding, it's just transitioning back to its outdoor self. So the success of this Friends of Scouting campaign in securing the financial stability is critical to serving thousands of young people every year. So the most important thing that I get to do as chairman, and it's really the most fun thing, is I get to present a great big check. And this, as someone grew up watching the sweepstakes thing on TV with the giant checks that randomly appeared at people's houses, this is really a pleasure for me. It's my first big check. So I'd like to call Brian up front, please. Our goal this year was to raise $250,000 to support scouting. I'm happy to report that we raised $270,000 to support scouting, so thank you. And it's my pleasure to present this giant check and good photo opportunity to the Buckskin Council and to Brian. Congratulations. Oh, you want to take it to Larry down there? I told him he needed a big Sharpie to write on the back of it, but nobody listens to me. So thank you again, Brian, and I'll give you the mic.
Thank you, Tommy. I appreciate your leadership of this year's campaign. Thanks to all of you here today, along with our supporters watching live via YouTube. Thanks to you, your dollars provide the volunteer leaders the necessary tools, facilities, training, and support to carry out the scouting program for thousands of youth members throughout the Buckskin Council. You are helping to make the difference in the lives of youth and families. They appreciate it, and so do we.
Excellent. Thank you, Brian. And thanks again to the Buckskin Council. So as you all are aware, and with your books in front of you, I have the great pleasure of pointing to a couple of my friends here that share the stage with me. And these are incredible individuals that make an impact every day in the lives of West Virginians and those all over the country. I'd like to ask Pat Graney to come forward, though, please. Pat?
Thank you, Tommy, and congratulations on such a successful campaign. Good afternoon. What an honor I have today to introduce my special friends, Marty and Kathy Becker, as recipients of the 2021 Good Scouter Award. It's great to see so many folks here. Boy, this is fun after months and months of sheltering in place. But I will tell you, the Buckskin Council has been fully engaged, and so have our Good Scouters. Kathy and Marty have continued their acts of kindness and generous contributions during this pandemic, supporting their friends and family. You have in front of you the tribute booklet about our recipients, and when you open the inside cover, you will read about Kathy and Marty and their many accomplishments and community activities. You will recognize that they have quietly and simply been ideal scouts at home, at work, and in our community. So I'm not going to repeat all the great stuff that you see there. In fact, I'm actually going to go off script a bit and talk a little bit about these two individuals who are so exceptional. My wife, Jessica, and I have shared many experiences with the Beckers over the years and have been on both together on charitable boards, business boards, community service activities, personal trips, social events, as well as raising our families together. As a friend for 40 years, I would like to share some observations about them which make them ideal choices as our Good Scouter recipients. First, just to remind everyone, a Good Scouter recipient may or may not have been in scouting. Though I know that Marty was a scout, I can imagine that Kathy, as a young girl, might have joined. And thankfully, today, our rules admitting young girls for admission have changed, so we can just imagine that. Next, a Good Scouter must demonstrate that they actually live by the Scout Oath of doing one's best, fulfilling duty to God, country, helping other people, and keeping themselves physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Finally, a Good Scouter honoree must follow the 12 points of the Scout Law. So why is Kathy a Good Scouter nominee? Well, I first met Kathy working on a political campaign in early 1984, and because of that campaign, we worked together in state government for several years in the mid-1980s. And everyone who knows Kathy gets things done. On the campaign, we called her Sarge, but the nickname probably should have been General, as she was clearly in charge. In her government role, I was impressed with both her organization skills as her ability to read a situation and take decisive action. Kathy makes time for her community. She devotes countless hours to many organizations or causes, and, back to my original point, no surprise, she gets it done. Her most recent campaign was to achieve a fundraising milestone for a foundation that supports the Craig Patton Historical House next to the Boy Scouts headquarters here in Charleston, a milestone that many thought could never be achieved. Well, not only did she achieve it, she exceeded it, which ensures a solid financial future for this important community landmark. Kathy is fun and interesting to be with on any occasion, but she also lends an intelligent perspective to nearly all issues and problems. If you are lucky enough to be around her dinner table, which I know a number of the folks here have been, then when she is posing a question about a current event or activity, she asks for opinions and observations. And as you go around the table, she listens carefully, but then she closes the discussion, as she says, with the correct answer. which, by the way, I will observe has been thoroughly researched and documented. Importantly, Kathy provides a strong and caring influence to her many friends and large extended family. Finally, Kathy is famous for her notebooks, where all critical details have been laid out and prepared either for immediate or future reference. Whether she is working on an important community project, a fundraising event for charity, a personal project, or just a gathering for friends or family, you can be assured it will be well planned, well orchestrated, and well choreographed, and a great success. So when Baden-Powell, who actually founded the Boy Scouts in England in 1907, adopted the motto, "Be prepared," they must have had Kathy Becker in mind. Why is Marty a good Scouter nominee? Well, I have been blessed to know Marty since the early 1980s when we started doing business together. Marty has the qualities of a great leader: wisdom, intelligence, patience, and he is highly organized and hardworking. Marty has a lot of great friends all over the world because he is one of those people who gives of his time and treasure to his friends and his own select causes and charities. I know that his clear thinking and firm but fair opinions and creativity have helped many in this room today. He is such a patient and careful listener and great communicator. When discussing a problem or asking for advice, it is not surprising after talking to Marty that the fog index lifts. Even Marty's best friends are often surprised by his accomplishments and success, which he does not boast about and often doesn't even disclose. Whether he is involved in a big business deal with publicly traded companies, or helping turn around a small business or in trouble, or a family member or friend, you should not underestimate how critical his help has been to the recipient of his assistance. I can testify regarding his dedication and his generosity and leadership to the many charities and groups he has been involved with over the years, which have helped them thrive and prosper, including our own Buckskin Council. His brother Rick and I once discussed why Marty is so successful. And like many Boy Scouts, his development and leadership skills started with his first job as assistant newspaper carrier. He helped his brother Rick deliver papers every morning in Huntington in their neighborhood, and he was highly paid at 50 cents per week. Marty's career has caused the Beckers to move away from Charleston to several different locations throughout the United States, and he has also had some overseas assignments, requiring a lot of travel and coordination with friends and family events. At every juncture, he and Kathy stayed connected in some way to West Virginia, and specifically to our community as they relocated here again in the early 2000s. On a personal note, Jessica and I have enjoyed watching their two young sons grow into such fine adults. As many of you know, and we've kindly referred to as the Becker boys, James and Todd are sitting at the front table. James and Todd, how about a stand up here? I know Kathy and Marty are very proud of them, as they have also been raised to be good Scouters. In conclusion, their lives have been dedicated to family, friends, productive work, and their community. Yes, they follow the 12 points of the Scout Law through the actions, behaviors, and manners befitting a good Scouter. As you think of Kathy and Marty, you know they are trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. In fact, when we honor Kathy and Marty Becker, with the 2021 Good Scouter Award, we really honor ourselves and our community because they have returned to Charleston to be such important members of our community. I am delighted to be able to present a replica of the Mackenzie statue, the most famous work of the sculptor R. Tate Mackenzie, entitled The Ideal Boy Scout. Please join me in welcoming Kathy and Marty Becker to the podium.
Wow. Thank you, Pat. We've been friends, as Pat said, for 40 years, and it takes somebody like that to think of all those nice things to say. I don't know about you, but I had to dig really deep in my closet today to get past the day pajamas, and it is so nice to be here today and see all your faces in person, in a big group setting, and without the mask. So thank you all for coming. I just want to say that Marty and I have had a chance to live in a lot of places through the course of our marriage and his career, and some very beautiful places like Monterey, California, and Bermuda. And as this last year has gone by, we've all had time to be at home and think about our lives and have some quiet time, perhaps, to reflect. And I just want to say that this is a really beautiful community and compares to anywhere we've ever lived. We have a beautiful city with a beautiful river that runs right through it, a gleaming capital, and our glorious mountains. And we can bring this community back. We can build our community anew. And I know everyone in this room that's involved in many things that make our community work. And I just want to encourage everybody, let's get back at it. And we're free to go now and make things happen. So I thank you so much for everything today. This is a wonderful honor. And I'm going to turn it over to the real Speaker of the House.
Good afternoon, and it is exciting to be here. It's exciting to see so many friends and be out and actually be at a function again. I mean, when's the last time you were at a function with this many people in the room? You know, going second after Kathy's always a risk. The biggest risk is I never know what she's going to say. So you kind of have to fill in the gaps. She's clearly the most articulate and the smartest person in our family. And as Pat mentioned, if there was ever someone who embodied the motto, be prepared, it's Kathy. There's no question about it. And everyone knows, and I'm reminded constantly, the greatest good fortune I ever had was marrying Kathy. And that stays true to this day. What a wonderful and incredible introduction by Pat. As he mentioned, we've been friends for 40-some years. It's unbelievable. Neither one of us are that old. Sometimes when he's doing an introduction like that, you look around and you say, who's he really talking about? Because it's so complimentary, but we appreciate it so much. And as he mentioned, Kathy and I and our family have really been blessed to have the friendship we've had with Pat and Jessica and all the Grainies. It's a very special relationship and one we hold dear. We're both so honored to be recognized with this year's Good Scouter Award. Scouts has always been a terrific organization, one of the world's best organizations, really. And in a year like we've just been through, and with all the changes rippling through our society today, at virtually every level, the values and the commitment to citizenship and community that Scouting represents are more important today than ever. just think how proud you were to watch those scouts walk in and do the Pledge of Allegiance. A little simple thing like that has somehow been degraded in our society as an event to have at events like this. And I think it's really special. In our region, we're really fortunate to be part of the Buckskin Council. Jeff Purdy, Larry Wonderly, their team, they do an incredible job for scouts in this region. I don't have a way to really compare it with councils elsewhere in the country. However, I've really been impressed with the scope and the breadth of the programming that they offer. And we're lucky to have this in our community. And as you have done today, we need to continue to support their good work this year more than ever, because all these organizations are bouncing back. As Kathy also mentioned, we're lucky to live in the community we do. As you look around the room and you read the names in the program who have supported today's luncheon, it always generates such a good feeling within me as to the engagement and generosity of the people who live in Charleston and the surrounding area. It's just incredible. And they really believe in the values and the mission that scouting represents. If we could all live our life every day consistent with the Boy Scout oath, the Boy Scout law, their motto and slogan, what a wonderful community we would have. And what a powerful role model that would represent for the young people of tomorrow. I still do remember my own scouting experience, starting with Cub Scouts and then joining the Boy Scout troop at our church in Huntington, West Virginia. I thought about getting out my old uniform, but it'd be a little snug today. But it was a wonderful experience, and working through the ranks and the merit badges built meaningful skills and self-confidence at a young age. Our sons James and Todd were both in scouting when we lived in California. James was a Cub Scout, Todd was a Tiger Cub. I can still remember the great overnight trip we took with their troop, and we had one of those classic campsites on the side of a hill, and by morning we were all piled on top of each other in the tent as you slide down. But it really was a special time together. Our family's experience also highlights the importance of so many of you in this room in providing adult engagement to scouting. When I was a young scout, we lost our troop leader in my second or third year of Boy Scouts. I forget exactly which it was. But our troop then unraveled. And by the time it reconnected with a new leader sometime later, many of us had found other activities to go to, and we didn't get back into that scout rhythm. I always regretted not having continued to become an Eagle Scout. As you read the biographies of so many great people in our country, Eagle Scouting was one of the foundational building blocks that they had as young people to develop their career. Those of you in this room who are participating in adult leadership in scouting, we really thank you, because it's immeasurable what you do for the young people of society. So again, on behalf of Kathy and myself, we really appreciate you giving us this honor. We really appreciate you coming out and making the lunch fun. And we appreciate your time and your treasure towards scouting. Thank you so much.
And thank you again, Marty and Kathy. As a man whose life was in large part shaped by scouting in the Buckskin Council, it's humbling and it's an honor to share a stage up here with you for a little while and be a part of this. It's now my great privilege and opportunity to introduce a great West Virginian, a dedicated public servant, a fellow Eagle Scout, and a fellow service member. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Mac Warner.
Thanks to Matt, Larry, Tommy, Jeff, Larry, the Executive Council Committee. Just what a wonderful job you've done setting this up. And also to our wonderful people who are serving. What a tremendous presentation. If you would join me in a round of applause for people that set this up. In 1899, Robert Baden-Powell was asked to go to South Africa to defend British interests, and he chose the town of Mafeking as his base of operations. He was supposed to raise 2 regiments there. They already had one Boer War and was expecting a second. And as he did so, he became a national hero because of his efforts there. You see, it wasn't so important that Mafeking was defended, but the people that were there. His second in command, Lord Cecil Edwards, was the Prime Minister's son. Winston Churchill's aunt, Lady Sarah Wilson, was there. She was actually captured at one point during the war, the Second Boer War, and was exchanged for a Boer general in a prisoner exchange. But when he returned to England as a national hero and set up at Brownlee Island what would become the Boy Scouts, he attributed the success at Mafeking. It was a 217-day siege that they endured. He attributed the success to the Mafeking Cadet Corps. And if I could have the slide there, please. It was a group of boys, 12 to 15 years old, young men, who took the place of soldiers to do some of the administrative work, run the errands, tend to wounded, deliver the mail, and so forth, so that the men could be put out on the perimeter and actually defend Mafeking. That was the beginning of the Boy Scouts. He decided that it was proper for young men to be raised with a sense of chivalry, with a sense of duty, a civic engagement, and that was the founding of our Boy Scouts. Well, 10 years after that, back here in West Virginia, a young man named Charlie Warner, grandson of German immigrants, went off to fight in Germany in World War I. He came back to West Virginia and actually became the administrator of the Mountain State Memorial Hospital, just about halfway between here and the state capitol, where there was a doctor, Dr. Cavender, whose son here, Jack. And Dr. Cavender eventually ended up birthing the 6 sons of Bud and Margie Warner. And he was the first of several who spanked my bottom necessarily, you know, to get life started. But Charlie Warner had fought in the First World War. Bud Warner fought in the Second World War. And he married Margaret McCoy, who was a member of the Daughter of American Revolution. So you can see the military tradition in that family. And they realized the importance of what Baden-Powell had set up in the Boy Scouting. And so they ensured that their sons got enlisted in the local Boy Scout Troop 5 at First Presby, and others of us at Troop 201 in Ruffner Memorial Church, just across the street from the state capitol. Well, Buffy was the first, and several of you in this auditorium probably remember Buffy. And Buffy rose to the exalted rank of tenderfoot. Yeah, and if you knew Buffy, you were probably surprised that he made it as far as tenderfoot. The second, Casey realized Mom's disappointment that Buffy kind of checked out early in the scouting effort, and so Casey took it pretty seriously, and he got to the rank of life, pretty good, just a merit badge or 2 away from Eagle. But he met the demise that many young aspiring Boy Scouts have run into, and that was members of the opposite sex. And unfortunately, there is no merit badge for courtship. He met Joni Son from up on Fort Hill, and the love of his life. And so he never made that 21st merit badge. And so, again, much to Mom's chagrin, I learned the lessons that of the older brothers, and I was determined to make Eagle Scout. And sure enough, in 1972, I achieved that rank. And then the 4th brother, Monty, achieved it the following year. The 5th brother, Chris, achieved it. And then the 6th son made it as well. So 4 Eagle Scouts of life and a tenderfoot. The things that we learned in scouting were also important. And I remember being a little bit cheated when I earned that rank of Eagle and got to pin on that beautiful pin. What a glorious pin that you worked so hard for. But shortly after pinning it on, I traded uniforms from the Boy Scout uniform to a U.S. Army uniform. And I always felt a little disappointed that I didn't get to wear that badge very often. But I learned so much more from just the scouting experience. I learned by watching my mom. You see, my mom was the one that was so dedicated. She ensured she drove us down every Monday night to those troop meetings at Ruffner Church. It was about a 20, 25-minute drive off the hill to come down and drop us off. Then she'd turn around a half hour later, turn around, come down and pick us back up year after year after year. She ensured that we went to Dilly's Mill to the summer camp. She ensured that she scrunched the pennies together and got us to Philmont. Every one of us was able to get to Philmont at some point in our life. You see, Philmont was the Super Bowl of scouting at the time. And so that was my upbringing, and the importance of Eagle Scout hit me a number of years later. I'd spent 5 years in Afghanistan. I decided it was time to come home to West Virginia and apply my talents to helping out here in the state of West Virginia. And I was on the phone from Camp Gibson in Afghanistan when I called Bill Cole, who was running for governor at the time in 2016. And as I made that call, a cobra slithered right across the tip end of my boots, and then a baby cobra followed on suit. But I was determined to make this call, and I placed it, and Bill said yes, he'd love to have me run on the ticket with him as Secretary of State. And so I made it a point, when I first came back to the West Virginia, I headed right to the Capitol to meet Bill Cole for the first time. And as I walked into his office, here he was, a successful businessman, a car dealer. He had been elected to the state Senate. His peers had picked him to lead as the Senate president, the lieutenant governor of the state of West Virginia. And when I walked into his office, the first thing I saw was what? His Boy Scout uniform framed on the wall with his Eagle Scout pin, so proudly displayed of all of his accomplishments, the things he wanted people to notice first when he walked in that door was he was an Eagle Scout. Well, that was quite impressive to me. What is it about scouting? What is it about being an Eagle Scout that is so leaves such a lasting impression on people that people are so proud of? Well, you heard Marty and Larry talk about it, and that's that oath, okay? On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and country, to obey the Scout laws, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. What's the beginning of that? On my honor. Right there, that word, right at the beginning, integrity, trustworthiness. Stephen Covey, in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talks about the importance of integrity, of honor, because you got to get yourself squared away before you step into the public arena. If you don't, your words and actions don't match and the people won't follow. You have to have yourself squared away before you start trying to lead anywhere else in business or any other organization. Then the Scout laws. A Scout is trustworthy. There's that word again. Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Marty said it. If you live that kind of life, you're going to be one hell of an individual. And don't we need more of that these days? So that concept of honor and integrity stuck with me. It was no big deal then to take that being sworn in on the plane at West Point, or to take my commissioning oath to defend and protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, to take those marriage vows, to adhere to the honor code at West Point, to be on the honor committee at West Point. A cadet will not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. To attend the University of Virginia, where they too have an honor code. In every examination, you say, on my honor as a student, I have neither given nor received aid on this examination, facing the possibility of expulsion for violating that. But it's the motto, again, that Marty referred to that I want to talk about today. Be prepared. I'm going to use a couple examples. As I was asked to speak here, they said, please talk about your families, the relevance of scouting to your family. So the most poignant moment of my life, of my adult life, of my parenting life, was on November 1st, 2009. My son, Stephen, had graduated from West Point less than a year and a half before. He had received orders for combat deployment into Afghanistan. Knowing that he wouldn't be there for the holidays, we decided to have a unique weekend. On Friday night, we celebrated Halloween. On Saturday night, we celebrated Thanksgiving with turkey dinner, and on Sunday morning, we celebrated Christmas, opening Christmas presents. That afternoon, it was time for him to leave. He hugged his brother, his 2 sisters, and his mother goodbye, and stepped out onto our front porch. I stepped out there with him to say a final farewell, and as we did, I gave him a hug, and he picked up his duffel bag and started heading for the car. At that moment, you can imagine the thoughts that started racing through my mind. Some regret, some remorse, some questioning. Had I done everything I possibly could to prepare that young man for what he was about to face? Well, a bit of angst set over me, and then all of a sudden a calmness came. And I thought of 3 things. The first thing that I thought was scouting. The second was sports, and the third was soldiering. Scouts, he had been an Eagle Scout. I'd taken him to Philmont. He had learned how to pack a backpack. He had learned how to hike. He had learned how to lead. Sports, he had been a captain of a team, played lacrosse, played football. He had taken a hit and learned how to get back up and keep on fighting. And then soldiering, he had gone to the finest institution in the history of the world, United States Military Academy at West Point, to become a leader. He had passed there with flying colors, and all of a sudden that calmness allowed me to fake a smile and wave goodbye to him, saying, yes, we probably had done about all that we could not knowing whether I'd ever see him again. Well, sure enough, he got to Afghanistan, and 11 days in country, his unit was hit, his platoon was hit. And he was hit again himself 5 months later on April 22nd. Every April 22nd, we celebrate Stephen is Alive Day in the Warner family. 3 of his classmates did not survive their engagements. One of them, if you could turn the slide to Sal Korma, please. This weekend is Memorial Day. I want you to remember Sal Korma on this weekend. You see, at West Point, they put you through a number of things, and while you're going through it, sometimes you think it's petty or a little bit trivial. You see, they'll put you in a situation you can't win. They'll put you in a situation that you're challenged beyond measure. They'll give you a pugil stick and tell you to get to the other side of the pit, but between you and the other side of the pit is a guy with a pugil stick being told you're not to let him to go through. Or they'll put you in a boxing ring, and they score you on the number of hits you give to somebody in the face. Well, the idea is, can you take that punch and get back up? Can you still make it to math class following that and successfully complete the academics after having been through boxing class? Well, Sal Korma met a situation, all right? It's called a choke point. On his tour of duty, he went into one of those situations where he couldn't back away from it. His platoon sergeant had noticed a piece of disturbed soil in front of him. It was at a bridge. You see, it's a choke point. You can't go across the river. You have to cross that bridge. The Taliban knows that. We know it. And you know that there's going to be a problem. So Sal, leading by example, doing what every soldier or leader would do, don't ask your men to do something that you won't do yourself. Sal himself picked up the VS-17, the orange triangle, to go out and mark the place so that the civilians would not hit the IED. His troops wouldn't hit the IED. Unfortunately, he took a different path than the sergeant did, who had initially found it, and he stepped on the concussion plate, the compression plate, that closed the circuit, setting off the detonation that killed him immediately. Let me go to the next slide. I want to give you a taste of just what that is all about. My son Stephen, his unit himself, found, hold a second, don't hit the play quite yet. Well, go ahead. We'll let it play. Due to the word language that was used, I cut out the sound, but this is Stephen's unit. That's what an IED looks like when it's not found in time and somebody hits it. You can see the power of that explosion. Stephen's unit found 53. Well, they encountered 53. They found 45 before the detonation went off. 8 were detonated against him or his troops. I wear this little band right here. This is a piece of the command wire that is used. It's used on those 8 that they didn't find in time. You see, when you get inside that blasting radius, you may not even come upon the IED yet. And somebody on the other end of that wire sets off the explosion. That's what got Stephen on April 22nd. But let's go on to the next slide. Chase Prasnixy. You see, at West Point, you have these things called clothing formations, in addition to the other examples I gave. A clothing formation on that first day, you go through and you get all your uniforms. You may get a half dozen sets of different uniforms, and they have you out in a ridiculous-looking PT outfit one of those first days, and they say, okay, now we're going to go up there and we're going to get you into your class uniform. You have 3 minutes, go. They blow a whistle and off you go. Well, you can't get dressed into a class uniform in 3 minutes, especially when you've never done that before. You come back down, some guys are in black shirts, some are in white, in all kinds of different, it could be on America's Funniest Videos when you show back up in that formation. They tell you, obviously, you had failed, and they bring somebody out who's in a sparkling dress white uniform and gray pants, and he's all squared away, and they say, that's what you're supposed to look like. Now go again in 3 minutes, up and back, and you come back, and you don't have your shoes tied and everything else. And they keep at it. They say, we're going to do this till we get it right. Well, you better believe that evening you start putting your stuff together. You get your stuff squared away. And so by the 3rd or 4th day of this, you've set all your uniforms out. You have your everything squared away, your brass on straight, and everything else. Well, sometimes life doesn't give you a second chance, and that's what happened to Chase Prasnixy. Chase Prasnixy graduated in 2010. He went to Afghanistan, much like Stephen. In fact, he was in the same unit Stephen was, 173rd Airborne, out of Bamberg, Germany. His 3rd day in country, his first assignment, his first roll outside the wire. They hit him with a command-detonated IED, and Chase didn't survive. Let me play for you what his mom and what his dad had to say.
He gave everything he had into every play he did, whether it was a practice or a game. the thing that I miss the most about Chase is his heart and his passion.
He just lived life to his fullest, and you know, if there's any advice to anybody, you know, that's it. Just take advantage of every second of every day that you're on this planet, and try and make it better.
Sounds like the Scout slogan, doesn't it? Do a good turn daily. That's how Chase lived his life. Remember him this Memorial Day weekend as well. Another encounter that my son had was a situation that I'm sure he has trouble sleeping at night, recounting this situation. You see, he was given the mission to assist a military police mission that was given to go to Shark, the town of Shark in Logar Province, Afghanistan, where a suspected IED had been planted in the town square where people go to do their shopping, women and children being exposed to the explosive force of an IED. A specialist, Kendra Coleman, got to the corner of the building to look at where the IED was placed. They set off a command-detonated IED. I visited Kendra Coleman at Walter Reed Medical Hospital to ask her what she recalled from that day. My son was no further from me to Pat away from Kendra when the explosion went off, and Kendra looked up at me and she said, "Mr. Warner, the last thing I remember was my kneecap flying in front of my face." That's a tough way to live your life. Well, my son, immediately being the platoon leader, took charge of the situation, put out perimeter, called in the helicopter, the medevac. When they popped smoke to show the helicopter where to land, it set off a brush fire. This was a bad day getting worse. Well, no one expected her to live. Stephen said when the litter took off up underneath that helicopter, it was spinning so fast, he said, "Dad, it would have knocked any man out." And here was a woman who had just had her leg blown off. Nobody expected her to survive, but you can see the picture she did because of the quick reaction. Well, now the situation, it turned dark. It was getting nighttime. And remember what I said about choke points? This town was full of them. They could not go back the same way they left, or they came. Stephen had to lead his 25 men through a route through the darkness, through uncharted territory in Afghanistan back to their base camp, over a mile away, through hostile territory where they knew Taliban were in place. Where did he learn those skills? Where did he get that confidence, that decision-making capability? Scouting, Philmont. He had learned what to pack, how to pack it. You see, I asked him about that day, and he said, "Dad, we learned early on after that first hit. Before we left, everybody put on 4 tourniquets, one on each arm, one on each leg." I said, "Wow, why?" He said, "Dad, if you hit that IED and you lose an arm, it's hard to put a tourniquet on with just one hand." He said, "Dad, if you're knocked unconscious like I was, it's mighty nice to have somebody there to cut off the bleeding for you, where the tourniquets are already in place. It's that magical moment, that magical hour to get you back that saves lives like Kendra Coleman's." Folks, that is being prepared. Where did he learn it? You know where he learned it. Folks, when I spent my time in Afghanistan, I had those moments. We had an attack on our compound at Camp Gibson. 6 guards were killed, 12 more were injured, wounded. But it wasn't that moment. That was a reactionary moment for me. The most trying moment for me was when I was out in the middle of Afghanistan. I was the only American off the base. I was setting up a rule of law in the town of Bamiyan. A burnt Koran was found, and Afghans all over the country were up in arms and revolting and rebelling against the Americans in their presence. A mob gathered in the town of Bamiyan, and they started moving towards the facility where I was, and the guards told me that I should take cover. I thought of Ambassador Chris Stevens. I thought about a safe room, but I knew what they had done in that safe room. They had poured diesel in and set it afire. That's not a way I envisioned going. I wanted a fighting chance. I used what I had done before, and that was being prepared. I'd set a rope up on top of the building, tying knots that I learned where in scouting, and I had mapped out my escape route down through some local fields, down a riverbed, up to caves where I'd worked with some people in providing some relief aid. I had it planned out, so at least I knew I would have a fighting chance. Well, my daughter also decided to go into the military, Lisa. She decided to do it at West Point, and like Kathy, she didn't have the chance to go into scouting. But man, I said, I want to get her to Philmont one way or another. I called Katy, Texas, got with an Explorer troop. We hooked up with them, and I got my daughter to Philmont. She had that experience of the hiking, the packing, the endurance to make a trek. And sure enough, she successfully graduated from West Point. She, too, did his combat tour in Afghanistan. My son, Scott, got him to Philmont. Scott's already had one overseas duty. 2 weeks from now, he's deploying back to the Middle East. Scouting prepared us for what we were to face in the real world. How many times have I mentioned Philmont today? You could count them more than a half dozen. What did Philmont mean to me? Well, folks, I'm happy to tell you today it isn't Philmont that's ground zero for scouting. It's the Summit Bechtel Reserve right here in West by God, Virginia. And so many of you, yes. So many of you in this room were responsible for having scouting decide on West Virginia to be the center of scouting, not just for West Virginia, not just for the United States, but for the world. The facilities we have there, no doubt, are world class. The world's largest Slide for Life, the world's largest outdoor climbing facility, skate park, BMX, rifle, shotgun, archery ranges. It's beyond belief. Those of you who've been there, you understand it. If you haven't, find a way to get there and take a look at it. It is a fantastic facility. Think of what Philmont meant to me and my family. This is what it's going to, West Virginia is now going to be that for scouts throughout the world. What the Bechtel Scout Reservation is to scouting is what Olympics is to sports. It is the place to go, and we're going to have people coming back again and again and again. And it's because of what you guys have done right here at this table in bringing that facility to this great state. Folks, the Eagle Scout badge, the ability to wear that was short-lived, but the lessons learned in scouting last a lifetime. It's the very foundation for personal growth, for family, for business, for politics, for any organization. You learn leadership as a scout. Now, many of you know that I have 4 children, and I've mentioned 3 of them. How about that 4th, Krista? She's the rock star of the family. She didn't go to West Point. She didn't go to Philmont. But man, just like Kathy, she was that scout. She's a good scouter. She's had her overseas tour, not in military orders, but as a volunteer in a civil society program. She's been to Lebanon, to Jordan, lived by herself on the Iraqi border. She chose her own path in life, not West Point. She went to the University of Virginia. She's majored in biomedical engineering. She's a physician's assistant today. She went to Wake Forest. She lives up in Anchorage, Alaska. When they call her out on duty and she flies out to a remote location to deal with Native Americans, she is the 911 call center. She's saving lives. She's helping people in their quality of life every day. She is our family's rock star. You know, she also joined the Army Reserve. And of all the family of these West Pointers, you know who the highest ranking member of the Warner family is today? It's Krista. It's Krista. Folks, we're here to honor Marty and Kathy Becker. They embody everything we've been talking about today. They're the bulwarks protecting our society today. We talk about the society, we're splintered, we're polarized. And that's why I'm so emboldened by the presence, to seeing the people in this room and what you all mean to the scouting movement. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin was up at West Point this last weekend speaking to the graduating class, and he said, "You are going to see things that we've never seen before." No doubt he was thinking about cybersecurity, cyber attacks, cyber warfare, Space Command. The high ground is no longer a hill, piece of terrain, it's space, okay? That's what he was talking about. He said, we don't get a chance to choose the times that we live in, but we get a chance to shape the times that we live in, and that's exactly what these individuals are doing right up here. They're shaping the times that we live in and securing our future generations with the spirit, the laws, the oath, the motto, the slogans of Boy Scouts to prepare us for the days of the future. Folks, I know my mom's up there in heaven somewhere smiling, saying, yeah, all that effort I put into it's finally paying off some 50 years later. But Robert Baden-Powell is up there smiling at each and every one of you because his vision for giving a life of chivalry, of service, of duty to the youth in England has now spread worldwide, and the center of it is right here in West Virginia because of the jobs you are doing. Folks, I salute you for that wonderful job you've done. Keep it up. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk with you. Thank Thank you so much.
Thank you, Secretary Warner. Thank you for your service, and thank you for your family service. Thanks for sharing those thoughts with us today about the importance of scouting. I'd like to turn the mic over now to our Scout executive, Mr. Jeff Purdy. Before I do, I want to make sure that having been involved in this campaign this last year and having been out so much with the military myself recently, it is the unsung heroes in all of this. And unfortunately, it isn't always the people on the stages, but it's our Larry Wonderly and the army of volunteers and organization to put together an event like this. So thank you again so much. And Mr. Purdy.
Wow, what a remarkable event. We have about 270 attendees today. I don't think anyone thought an event this large with this many people in one place was possible just a few months ago. I think there are several good reasons why. First, our remarkable Good Scout Award recipients, Marty and Kathy Becker. We celebrate your extraordinary service and dedication to our community, state, family, and friends. Thank you. Second, our leadership team, Tommy Bailey and Matt Coleman, have led a great group of vice chairs, captains, workers, in orchestrating this awesome event. An event where we were not even sure we could pull it off just a few months ago. We had contingencies upon contingencies. You guys are rock stars, and I thank you very much. Great job. Third, Mac Warner. Wow. New lesson, don't follow Mac at a presentation. A great example of what an Eagle Scout can be and what he can do. Thanks, Mac, for taking time to be with us today and for your thoughtful comments about you, your family, and your scouting experience. We really appreciate it. Finally, I think everyone is ready to return to normal, a new normal, whatever that might be, especially families with children. The Buckskin Council has anticipated a need to get youth and their families back to the fun in scouting, the adventure, challenge, and social interaction that is scouting. Here's a picture of a scout with a big fish. You see, it goes up to his waist. A fish which is bigger than any fish I've ever caught. Not that I'm jealous much. This is from a fishing derby just 2 weekends ago at City Park in Parkersburg. This scout is having a great day. I bet his parents are having a great day. This scout now has a memory that will last him for the rest of his life, a scouting memory. We have 11 events just like this one planned this month. Family camps, Scout BSA camporees. Am I done, Larry? It's a Scout Executive Minute, but you gave me 2 minutes on the timeline, I'm just saying. All right, we've got lots of activities planned. Scout camporees, Cub Scout fun days, family camps, all these activities are planned. And we have more planned for the next months of June, July, and August. We're delivering great scouting memories that last a lifetime. This is what we do because of what each person in this room has done. Supporting scouting means a lot to scouts and their families. On their behalf, I want to thank each and every one of you. This concludes our event. Safe travels to everyone. This is Scout Country.
Helpful, courteous, kind, and helping other people and helping around the house.
Hi, my name is Killian. I'm from Pack 75. Scouts means a lot to me because I like to shoot bow and arrows, slingshots, BB guns, bow and arrows, hiking, and helping people.
Scouting helps me be a better person.
What scouting means to me is it's a path to becoming a better person and having better moral ideals and becoming a more independent, productive citizen of society and just generally being a much better, useful person in the frame of things. And I am Aiden Wilson of Troop 283.
Hi, I'm Cooper Wilson from Pack 68. What scouting means to me is that it's lots of fun, it has great activities, spending time with friends and family, learning new things, and building skills for later on in life.
What does scouting mean to you?
Scouting to me means going on adventures and making new friends and sometimes even learning something new.
What does Boy Scouts mean to you, Nate?
Helping others, showing respect and kindness, sharpening knives, and learning to go fishing and making new friends, seeing other people around the world, and getting to go on crazy adventures.
Okay, is that it?
Yep.
Okay.
Scouting to me is having fun with my friends and family, learning new things, and making new friends.
Scouting to me is living by the Scout laws and having fun and adventure with my friends.
Scouting means to me adventures, helping people, learning new things, and
Is it fun?
yeah,
Having
it's
fun?
Having fun.
What's the fun parts?
Whenever I get to go on my hikes.
What else?
Whenever I build a bird feeder.
That was learning new things too, huh? Yep. Do you like Scouts? Is it fun?
Uh-huh.
Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Good. Tell 'em bye.
Bye.